Tomorrow is Election Day, and the campaigns are down to the wire. Big names are throwing their support behind candidates in Pennsylvania, a key state in this year's midterms. CBS News political correspondent Huey-Burns reports on the last-minute messages to voters and the people working to make sure voices are heard.
Are you fired up yet?
Pennsylvania packed with presidents.
This Tuesday, you must vote Republican.
The outcome's going to shape our country for decades to come.
The high-profile visits show the Keystone State is key to who controls the Senate for the next 2 years.
Democracy itself is on the ballot. The stakes are high.
The race between Democrat John Fetterman and Republican Mehmet Oz is one of the closest in the country.
I will bring change to Washington so they treat us the way we deserve.
And I'm going to need every one of you to go out and have your plan, get your friends, get your families all ready to vote.
Both Fetterman and Oz spent Sunday in the suburbs around Philadelphia courting key swing voters. With closing arguments made, the challenge now is turnout. We caught up with union members supporting Democratic candidates, knocking on doors in minority communities, aiming to get voters to the polls.
You're going door to door. Every vote counts.
Yes, every vote does count. So we know that it's very important for every single vote.
And across town, Democratic volunteers Belinda Birnbaum and Jessica Clemens spent their Sunday giving rides to voters like Toya Perkins, who was notified she had not signed her mail-in ballot.
They called me to come down here to make sure that my vote counts, and that's exactly what I did.
Every single person deserves to have their vote counted, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that happens.
And election officials can't start counting those mail ballots until Election Day, which means it could be a while before we get results here in Pennsylvania. And election experts are already bracing for legal challenges with this year's result. Vlad, Anne-Marie.
All right, Caitlin, thank you very much. So for more on this, we want to bring in more on how the president is getting involved in the midterm races. Want to bring in Weijia Jiang. She is at the White House. So Weijia, you know, President Biden and former President Obama both appeared at rallies for Democratic candidates in Philadelphia over the weekend. Are Democrats concerned about President Biden's approval ratings, though? He seems to be sort of circling in the same kind of areas with the same candidates and not venturing out to other places. I mean, to be frank, Philadelphia is a pretty safe place to show up if you're a Democratic president.
That's right. And tonight he's holding a rally the night before Election Day in Maryland. And so we've seen this pattern of the president visiting Democratic strongholds instead of the states where, you know, congressional power will ultimately be decided. In Georgia, for example, of course, he has been spending plenty of time in Pennsylvania. But I think the other thing they have to consider is the way that Democratic candidates have been treating their relationship with President Biden, which is not as closely as others in the past, right? They've been almost trying to distance themselves, for example, in Ohio, where Tim Ryan is running as an independent. And, you know, he has said he is not asking for the president's support because it's difficult to remove yourself as a Democrat from the president because he is the leader of the Democratic Party. So that does say plenty about, you know, sort of the way his party is viewing his popularity right now. And I think the reason why he's coming out now, why you saw him with former President Obama, is because it's go time. I think that the White House believes this is the time that they can really drum up support and enthusiasm for voter turnout, not necessarily to make their case for undecided voters, because that ship has already sailed.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're going to talk about President Biden in New York, but it was also intriguing to me to watch another former president on the campaign trail. Former President Trump was in Florida over the weekend at a rally for Senator Marco Rubio, who polls seem to indicate that he will most likely be reelected. I mean, Val Demings has a tough battle ahead of her to win over. He's very popular in the state, but he's at a rally for a senator who isn't in danger of losing his seat. At least, again, anything can happen, but the polling seems to indicate Marco Rubio's in a safe space. But it felt like it was more of a Trump rally where he's basically teasing his candidacy again, and also, you know, taking pot shots at the sitting governor, who actually is in a tight reelection campaign for the governorship of New York, and potentially has a his eyes set on 2024 and rolling out that old tried and true Trump method where, you establish a nickname with the guy who you think is going to be your opponent. In this case, Ron DeSanctimonious, I think is the term that he's kind of weak, but whatever.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Weijia?
That's right. Well, as someone who has covered countless Trump rallies, I will say that that's not new or surprising that, every time, the former president headlined an event, he would, from my experience covering them, stump for the candidate that he was there for a few minutes, but then it would turn into, the Trump show. So it's not surprising that that's exactly what happened with Senator Rubio. What's maybe more surprising is that he was there for Rubio at all, given their history and given, their animosity at times toward each other. But I think you make a great point, because at this point, and I think to Republicans' unhappiness, the conversation is about Trump 2024. Even, a day before the midterms, here we are talking about 2024 rather than the final push to get Republicans secured in their seats. So I think that it is very telling what the former president is focused on. You're right about the nicknames, and I think that's a preview of what's to come, and that primary could get very ugly if Trump decides to throw his hat in the ring against the governor of Florida.
Well, you know what I thought was very interesting about that, too? Because I ended up going down a little bit of a rabbit hole in the comment section in regards to sort of articles talking about what he said, is that there were a lot of people who were Republicans who voted for him twice, they said, and were very critical of him taking pot shots at another Republican just a couple of days before the election.
Right.
It was the kind of language that I had not really seen before from Donald Trump supporters. And then you will recall, I think it's sort of the next day, maybe yesterday, he kind of encouraged people to vote Republican all the way down the ticket. And I wonder if that was a little bit of a misstep, but we'll see how it plays out.
Right.
But it was quite interesting.
Well, yeah, because to your point, many supporters of President Trump, former President Trump, are also supporters of Ron DeSantis. And so that's why it's a really awkward situation whenever, you're, pitting yourself against DeSantis in that way by calling him names, because there's a time for everything. And I think those Republicans believe this is not the time to start that fight, which, there's 2 more years to do that.
Yeah, totally.
Indeed. Weijia Jiang for us at the White House. As always, Weijia, we thank you.
Thank you.